All right. So thank you everybody for joining this month for our monthly product focus meeting. Today we have three products that will be highlighted and three different team members doing those highlights. The first product will be the TF70 series. This is an MPI product that we're getting ready to launch, and that will be presented by Carrick. And then Sang's going to follow up that with the DF52 series with wired board connector. And then myself, I'll be covering the BK35. We'll talk a little bit about that product in the and how that you'll see a little tag that says restricted. We'll talk a little bit about what that means for the team members on this call. Just a friendly reminder to please keep your microphones muted so that everybody can hear during the meeting. If you have questions, feel free to use the chat box to place those questions throughout the presentation. The presenters and myself, we all keep an eye on that chat box and try to pick off some of those questions as we go through the presentations. And there will be some Q&A time hopefully available at the end of the presentation as well. Also, one last bit of housekeeping. I did notice that somebody attempted to activate an AI translation note taker. Please do not use an AI tool during this meeting. We've requested that AI tools not be used because there's inability to control or understand where that data is going. So please do not activate or use any of those tools. Otherwise, we are ready to go with our first presenter, which is Carrick. Go ahead, Carrick. You can start whenever you're ready.
Hi everyone, my name's Carrick and I'm an FAE based in Tampa, Florida. And I'm working on sharing my screen right now. All right, looks good. So on my screen, you should see TF70 series. I'm really excited about this product because it's not just a minor variation of a connector. This is a new connector type, the two-piece flex connector. This type of connector allows FFC or FPCs to be attached with as much retention as you would usually only see in a wired connector type. Until now, applications in harsh environments usually requiring discrete wired connectors. Um, that's fine for small amounts of wires, like 5 pins, but if 20 to 50 pins are being required, that can add a lot of cost and weight, not to mention assembly time, which is what this slide is about. Each contact of a wired connector needs to be crimped and inserted into the receptacle. But for the two-piece flex connector, you just push the FFC into the plug housing and insert the retainer to lock it in place. Here you can see the interface is about 6 millimeters tall and 11 millimeters deep, which means it has a low profile and small footprint compared to other automotive style connectors. So Dave, can you post the first question? What testing is included when I say an automotive style connector? Please choose multiple options. A, damp heat, B, corrosion salt spray, C, IP67, D, vibration, or E, high mating cycles. All right, we've got about 5 responses. People seem to understand that vibration is a strong strength of this connector. We also say that damp heat and corrosion salt spray, A, B, and D are all things that automotive connectors are tested for. They're not necessarily tested for IP67 or high mating cycles. So this connector is considered a one-action flex connector because to mate it, you just push the receptacle into the header until you hear and feel a click. To unmate, you depress the lock lever in the center, and if you don't depress the lock lever, the connector can withstand over 80 newtons of pull force. Since the cable side housing doesn't include any metal parts, the cable pads directly touch the contacts in the header. This cross-section view on the slide allows you to see the reliable contact shape and long wipe length. As always, Hirose relies on our competitive advantage of making superior contact structures to withstand harsh environments without increasing the connector size. So this connector was initially made for EV battery packs, and voltages between cells can add up to a dangerous amount. It's important to keep our connector safe so it can't accidentally be turned into a taser on accident. Uh, so for this reason, the FPC contacts are fully enclosed in the housing so you can't access them with your fingers. And that is the same on the header side as well. You can't touch the contacts. So talking about high voltages like that, you can imagine how it would also be unsafe to plug the connector in upside down with reverse contacts then. So Hirose made that impossible to do by adding this mechanical polarization key. In this slide, you can see the footprint is also polarized, making it impossible to place the header backwards on the PCB. In the past, I've heard some customers tell me they need to dummy-proof their assembly process as much as possible, and that's why they don't want to use any flex connectors. Sometimes that voice of the customer feedback is what causes advanced foolproof connectors like TF70 to be developed. So I talked about this before, but there is no complicated assembly manual to read for this connector, and there's no tooling. The plug can be assembled easily and without much training. TF70 has already seen success in automotive battery packs and headlights, and I've experienced some interest from customers in places like factory automation, military, and other harsh environments. So, Dave, can you post the other question? When should I show TF70 to a customer? Again, choose multiple options. A, engineer thinks the FFC connectors are too fragile. B, they need a small device battery connector. C, an interface connection between modules, maybe waterproof. D, customers using a high pin count wire to board connector. Or E, high speed data transmission. All right, you guys lose. I got more responses yesterday to my questions. Anyway, the answer is A and D. Engineers think the flex connectors are too fragile. In this case, we can propose this because it is not fragile. And the other answer is D. The customer is using a high pin count wire to board connector, and they may not want to have to crimp all those wires, and they may be able to save a lot of space. If they need a very small device battery connector, this may be more pins than they need. And if they need an interface connection, this would not be applicable. And this is also not built for high-speed data transmission. So please post any questions you have in the chat. We're going to go over more questions, answer them and everything at the end. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Carrick. Sang, if you want to go ahead and start loading up your materials for the DF52 there, that'd be great.
Yep, on it right now. Okay.
And for those that are having a little trouble with the polls, we found that sometimes in Teams, depending on the policies, sometimes it doesn't allow for poll entry. If that's the case for you, go ahead and stick your answer right into the comment box for the values, and make sure your name is, not marked as is marked in the chat box so we can see who it is, and we'll use the chat box answers as well in our understanding of the answers.
Okay, thank you, Dave. My name is Sang Lam. I'm the FAE based out in Plano, or Dallas, Texas. Today, we are going to talk about a really cool wire-to-board connector, the DF52 series. It's a rather unique product. It's compact, a little less than 1 millimeter pitch, has a robust mechanical design in its housing structure, and can support high current. So before we dive in, let's take a high-level view of Hirose's offerings in the wire-to-board space. There are two categories here, the Signal B and Inner B. These are trademark products. Of course, these are not the only ones. There's actually a third B called the Snap B. The Snap B is the smallest wire-to-board products that we have at Hirose. I'll go over that later on in the presentation. So let's take a look at the comparison between the two here. On the Signal B side, the current is typically 5 amps or less with a pitch of no more than 2.5 millimeters. And wire gauges can go as big as 20 and as small as 32. And on the Inner B side, current can go up high as 65, 10 millimeter pitch, and wire gauge as big as 8. If there was ever any confusion between the two B, look at the Bs. It tells you the more menacing looking one is for power. Okay. So this slide shows a quick wire-to-board selection guide for our Signal B products. The DF52 is a Signal B product. The y-axis shows the pitch here, and then the x is the amperage current. As you can see on the left-hand side here, there's a cluster of products. 1 amp between 1 and 1.25 millimeter pitch there, and also a cluster of products over here on the 3 amps. So these are the most common wire-to-board kind of requirements and specs. And as you can see, the DF52 is nestled right in the middle here between the two clusters, and it's rated maximum of 2.5 amps per contact, and it's a 0.8 millimeter pitch. And of course, this is kind of niche area, but there are competitors out there. And of course, Hirose's outperforms them all. So at 0.8 millimeter pitch, the DF52 is considered one of the smaller wire-to-board products. Its small size can certainly pack a punch, supporting up to 2.5 amps per contact, and can certainly take a beating as well with its robust design and thicker housing wall, giving it the ability to resist damage, because small connectors tend to be damaged easily. In addition, the crimp contacts are box-shaped, contributing to the overall stability and strength of the connector. Currently, the DF52 only comes in the right angle configuration, and it's surface mounted and tin plated. As mentioned earlier, the 0.8 millimeter space wire-to-board is a sort of unique. The driving force behind this development of these types of small connectors is the camera industry. Wire-to-board products in this space are used in vibration reduction technologies, digital still and video cameras, and security cameras. The table shows a comparison of a 2.2 position connector with our competitors here, the JST, Amphenol, and Molex. The areas of contentions here is the current rating, voltage rating, contact resistance, mounting area, and robustness. As you can see for the current, we are rated one of the higher rating, 2.5 amps. Molex actually indeed ties with us there, but the majority of the customers or competitors are rated at 1 amp. Voltage rating, we're about 3x times the competitors. Contact resistance, we are 3 times less. and mounting area about 10% smaller. And then on the robustness side, our housing is thicker, approximately twice thicker, so it's twice stronger than our competitor in the wrenching test. The Molex is very strong. It has a metal reinforcement on the upper side of the receptacle housing, so it is strong, but it's not really a fair comparison here. Let's take a look at the electrical specifications and dimensions of the DF52. On the table on the left here shows the wire gauge ranges for it. Again, at 2.5 amps, you have to use the bigger wire, the 28 gauge, and it's only for the 2 position. As you can see here, the mated height is very low. It's less than 2 millimeters, and the mated depth there is about twice that. And here are the various selections of our DF52, ranging from 2 to 20 positions here with the corresponding widths. Okay, Dave, we're ready for our first quiz question. So, which of the following DF52 specifications is not considered a key competitive advantage? Give people a moment here. Right. So the answer is C, pin counts. Okay, let's go into the let's talk about the housing design of the 52. It's rather special. The housing walls in both the receptacle and the plug are thicker, to almost twice the competition. This extra thickness gives the connector the strength to endure the vertical pull force on the cable. So as you can see here, for a 17 position connector, the pull force, vertical pull force is 20 newtons. So the DF52 is a friction lock, so 20 newtons is quite significant for this type of locking mechanism. This type of vertical cable routing, we do have other products, and it's reminiscent of another type called the Snap-B, which I mentioned earlier, and we'll go over that. So the Snap-B line is Hirose's smallest wire-to-board products. The main difference between the DF52 and the DF57 and DF58 is how the connectors are mated. So the DF52 is a horizontal mate, while the DF57 and 58 are vertical mates. As you can see here in the animated GIF animations here. So the DF57 and 58 do actually have 2 types of locking mechanism. They have a friction here at the front and then an actual positive locking at the back, which gives them the vertical strength. So with the 2-position DF52, it actually is comparable to the pull force of these specialized Snap-B connectors. So usually a concern in some of these smaller connectors is whether or not the mating is completed properly. So these connectors are so small, so how do we know if it is mated properly? Is there any visible sign to reassure us that that it is completely mated? In fact, yes. On the DF52, it has a feature to give us that reassurance. The slit openings, some of these, every other ones are actually extended a little further down. So this allows for either an automatic or a manual visual inspection during the mating process. So if it is not completely mated, for instance, here it's half mated, you can actually see the contacts, exposed contacts in the slits. But if it is mated properly, none of the slits will be visible. So in addition to the thick housing wall, the contact design also adds to the DF52's robustness and reliability. The contacts are box-shaped. Box-shaped designs, contacts are typically more robust and durable, providing better protection for the wiring connections. Also, they are made of a high conductivity type of material, giving it industry-leading low contact resistance. So to improve the connector's reliability, Hirose engineers have implemented a clipping structure. You see here, the 2-point clipping of the contact from top and bottom kind of stabilizes the contact, so that improves its reliability and performance. Okay, second quiz question. So true or false, the high vertical cable retention capability of the DF52 is due to its positive locking mechanism. Give folks a few moments here. Okay, so the answer is false, because DF52 is a friction lock. Okay, so here are some examples, application examples. Again, remember that the driving force behind the development of the DF52 was the digital cameras and security cameras. As you can see in these applications here, there's a need to run wires vertically from board to board. There's not a lot of actual space in between. It's really tight. And so a vertical header, wire to board header, wouldn't work, because it's very tight and it would crash into the boards. So the right angle DF52 with its low profile robustness and great vertical cable retention fits perfectly in these tight areas. So other applications include wearable devices, office equipment, and mobile devices. So we're going to finish off here with a success story. So we have a customer who makes digital cameras. They needed to connect between the PCB and the power module. They were using a competitor product, a 20-position wire board connector from JST, but were experiencing some deformation issues. As you can see here, with just 10 newtons, the connectors deformed quite a bit. So we had presented the DF52 with its thick housing wall, and there's no deformation even at 20 newtons. So needless to say, they were impressed, and we got a big win there. So that's all I have. Thank you for your attention.
Awesome. Appreciate that. And any questions? I didn't see any questions in the chat box. So if there's any questions you have on either the two product series we've presented so far, feel free to throw those in the chat box. But if not, let me go ahead and share my screen now and talk a little bit about the BK35 series, which is a micro board to flex product that is fully shielded. This product series is just in the process of getting out to the field, and we wanted to highlight a couple of key features within the design. The first big feature is this is a hybrid power and data design, but traditionally the BM style and BK style products that you've seen from us that are hybrids have two power contacts. This one actually extends that by adding an additional 2 power contacts, in each contact supporting 2.5 amps worth of power. And that's 4 contacts, which is significantly better than what we normally see within the scope of this type of product. These days, we're seeing a lot more demand for power across the applications that we're being requested for. So as a result, the team has stepped up, and we have products that have high current, but now we have more power contacts available for customers who may have more than just a need for just the traditional 2. High-speed data and capability of supporting RF signals is certainly within the scope of this, but one of the other major features of this product design is the shielding structure on the outside of it. We've seen with high-speed data, having products that support a fully shielded design is a big plus today. Interference from one system inside of a box to another system inside the box, or if you have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi radio antennas that are nearby, all that can impact the performance of your data signals. We've seen applications in the field where customers have experienced interference, say, between a Bluetooth or basic Wi-Fi signal and, say, a PCI bus that's inside of their equipment. And whenever you crack open some of these devices, you're seeing more and more of these EMI gaskets used and box shields being placed around connectors and components all throughout the inside. It's kind of funny to look at the FCC site, and I see product designs, and they crack them open. All you see is these metal boxes everywhere. You don't actually see any components. Everything's buried underneath some kind of metal box. So here we've taken this idea and surrounded the connector with a box shell shield, and this will help prevent that EMI from either coming out of the connector, and I'll show you a little bit of a picture of that, or going into the connector from outside or external sources. So that's a really good feature of or capability within this in this product series. And you're going to start seeing more and more shielded products enter into the market. So that's certainly something to bear in mind when you're talking to customers, to ask them about shielding. If you've seen the inside of their devices and you've seen some of those metal boxes, ask them if this could be a potential opportunity for them to resolve some shielding issues. So we're going to go ahead and start with our first question here, and that is on the BK35 series. What is the current rating for each power contact? And again, for those that are having trouble with submitting poll questions, I know that sometimes gets blocked by policy. Go ahead and just put it into the comments box, and we'll be able to look at those results as well. See if we get maybe a few more responses there. Right. Well, that first answer, 2.5 amps per contact, that is the correct value for that. And 2.5, I know it was very confusing for some, the 3 amps and 5 amps. You do see that across a lot of the products that we offer in the BM and BK series. So that is an honest answer there, but 2.5 amps per contact is the correct value for this series. So great to see the majority. You got that one correct. Awesome. We like to see that. I mentioned I was going to talk a little bit about shielding versus non-shielding. And here you go. Here's some basic data showing how without the box shield, we got a lot of emissions that can come out of the connector and going out to the outside world. The same is true in the opposite direction. Outside noise getting into your connector. With the box shield, this is significantly reduced. The big advantage for customers keeping that RF, any kind of RF noise or signal noise on the inside of the connector, and that prevents that from getting picked up by, say, antennas nearby. But also prevents those antennas from interfering with the internal functionality of our system. I also want to mention that we've done some significant testing for this product for data performance. And so this type of product, we talk about applications for it. We're seeing applications in like video, MIPI, and that type of realm, but we also see USB 4. USB 4 is a newer standard. It's supporting data speeds up to 40 gigabit. We also support PCIe Gen 4 in this connector. So you got your USB 2, 3, and 4 performance, and MIPI. MIPI video is big. Think of machine vision environments and camera systems. Sang was talking about a camera earlier. There's an imager inside that camera, a digital camera. Typically, the data stream that comes off that imager is MIPI. So if you ever see MIPI, M-I-P-I, or if you're working with a customer in the camera market, they're working on industrial camera or any kind of security camera or camera systems in general, MIPI is very popular. This connector is perfect for that. The data speeds and resolutions are rising rapidly, and as a result, they certainly do need the signal performance. We can also support RF signaling on the inside of this thing as well, and excellent performance all the way up through 40 gigahertz. Nice steady values in the chart here showing performance out to 40 gigahertz. You do not typically see that within a connector of this style, so this is an awesome advantage for this product. Again, if you have a customer transferring multiple board to flex type of RF signals, this connector is a great solution for those applications. Another big advantage is physical size of the connector. Here we're looking at a 16 position with the 4 power positions added on to that. And you can see from a stack height standpoint, physically this product is very small. 0.6 millimeter stack, and on the PC board itself, only little over a couple of millimeters wide, and 6 and change in length. So the product is very small. Certainly, when you think about those machine vision type applications and the cameras, those systems are getting tiny. And as a result, they certainly do need products to make their connections that are smaller for the space restrictions that they have. Our next question is really talking about the data performance. I know we just covered that, so hopefully we'll all see 100% answers on this one. Go ahead and answer that poll question if you can. Awesome. Love to see all the responses, and there's nothing better than seeing everybody say true. Yes, the BK35 has been evaluated for USB 4. And we just mentioned before, USB 4 is the latest standard and performance capabilities, and it's certainly pushing the data needs and benefits to customers. I will admit, most customers that I've spoken to are still running in the 5 gig range, and then there are some at the 10 gig range. But your video type customers and camera type customers may be pushing the envelope for the data performance speeds. If you're talking USB, they might be connecting from an internal component out to a USB type C connector on the outside, in which case USB 4 support is a excellent benefit for our customers. Now, we mentioned the power handling capabilities of the product, and one of the big things folks do when they have multiple power contacts or need for multiple power contacts, they just suck up a bunch of pins to deliver that power. Obviously, by having dedicated power pins, we reduce the amount of space that's required to deliver that power from one location to another. Again, typically for this connector, it's board to flex. So it would be a PC board to flex connection, and it certainly will take up a lot less space because of those dedicated power pins. A term you're going to hear from us occasionally on connectors, and not just this one, is you'll hear the term armored or fully armored. And really what this means is that we've covered the surfaces, the mating surface areas of the connector body with metal. And this gives a lot of strength to the connector. And you can see in the diagram pictures here that we've certainly given a lot of strength to the outside of this connector. And that allows for the customer to have a much more reliable connection. If I look back to even like our BM10 or BM20 series that we had many years ago, when these small connectors were first coming out, they're all plastic around the outside, and some customers had concerns about that, depending on how the assembly process was going and who was doing that. And as a result, there was some concern about breakage, and I certainly do know that some customers had those challenges. As you look into the products these days, you see that term fully armored or armored design. What we're referring to is the metal around the outside of the connector being that impact point on the body of the connector, and by being metal, it's not going to break for the customer. Now, applications we see in this realm, really, it comes out of the consumer products market, but let me tell you, don't discount folks in the industrial and medical device market. These two markets are more and more using tablet-based and smaller displays. You got this big gargantuan machine, but yet its entire control system is basically nothing more than a tablet mounted to the face of that machine. Many times they need these micro connectors. In an industrial environment, you do have a lot of potential for noise interference from the surrounding environment. A fully shielded connector is a benefit. I know it's a really small product, but you may see applications for it in the industrial realm. Also, think of the medical world. We're seeing tablets used and tablet-like devices used for things like ultrasounds, right? They go into the doctor's office, and now your doctor, instead of sending you off someplace and somebody rolls the big card in and they do the ultrasound, they're actually just pulling out a tablet that's got a little device attached to the end of it, and that's all they need to do a basic I'll call it a lower resolution ultrasound. They still have the big cart machines, and you may still see connectors like this used in those applications, especially for displays and imagery type of applications. But if it's a tablet device, it's really tight space. I think I harped on cameras quite a bit already, so I won't put that one in there. I have up here the mobile router market. I'll tell you, one of my customers is looking at shielding products, not on this particular product, but one of our taller stack height items in fully shielded. They are in the router business, and they needed that shielding because they were getting interference between their 2.4 gig Wi-Fi and their PCI 3 bus. So that's not uncommon to see interference between two different systems inside of the really tight boxes. Really, it's about the size, right? The stuff is getting smaller, and as a result, components are getting closer to each other. Interference becomes a big issue, and that's why we want to highlight shielding in those tight spaces. So really the question when you go into a customer that you want to ask is, are they dealing with shielding issues? Do they have shielding challenges? Because if they do, Hirose has quite a line of options that are able to deal with shielding, including this BK series product. But there are many other products that we have available that have shielding choices and shielding options within them. So if you have a customer in that situation, give us a call and we'll try to help you out and get the right product for their application. I'm going to go ahead and do our last slide and question here. What are the main features of the BK35 series? Throw that up there for a moment. All right, seeing some great responses in there already. We'll get a few there. Any more? Throw them in there. Awesome. Really appreciate the feedback on the questions throughout the presentations. Yeah, that last answer, all of the above is the correct answer. We do certainly see the hybrid power and signal contacts, so that is a major feature. Fully armored shielding and high performance speed capabilities. High speed performance capability. Got to get the words in right. Or high speed performance capabilities of this series. We talked a little bit about USB 4 and PCIe and MIPI for those performance levels. So all the above is definitely in that category. Now I'm just going to briefly talk here a little bit about what you saw at the beginning, talking about restricted. So the key thing here we wanted folks to understand is we have this advertised up on our website, and it is available from production. So this product is available today in production, but we are asking that you get us involved with every project that you work for on this one. And the reason why is it's a relatively new product, and there are some I'll call some information that we would want to be able to work with the customer on directly with you. So be sure to get us involved. We are doing whole real increment sales on this product today, but we do need to be aware of the product in advance. So if you're working with a customer, please make sure you get your Hirose manufacturer rep or Hirose sales employee involved with that opportunity when you're working with a customer, or if you're dealing with some challenges related to those types of products. So we certainly want to hear about them and be sure to keep us in the loop on them. So any additional questions? I didn't see anything. I'll look quickly in the chat box. Nope, looks like somebody did ask a question, and thank you, Sang, for already getting that answer out there. How many mating cycles, BK35? 10 cycles is pretty standard for these small connectors. If you have an application calling for a higher cycle count, please talk to our team members, and we'll take a look at if we have the opportunity for an extended test cycle range based on their application. Great question. Any additional questions for this product or any of the other products that we presented today? Well, we really appreciate everybody coming out for our monthly product focus meeting. A couple of great products that we presented today, the TF70 for the rugged automotive type of world. in flex connectivity. DF52 series wire to board, man, that thing is small, great for tight spaces, and the BK35 for your high speed signaling and fully shielding capabilities, all within the scope of our latest product releases. We're going to be back again on September 11th. Which is a Wednesday, so hopefully you all can pencil that in on your calendar, and we look forward to having you all join us then.